Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and in today's video we'll firstly be getting into all the latest transfer news on Andre and Todibo, then speaking a little bit about the takeover news. However, I did touch upon a lot of it in yesterday's video, but Fabrizio Romano has basically confirmed that Jean-Claude Blanc and Paul Mitchell is looking very likely, with major changes expected at United very soon, potentially in December, and also rumours and reports that it could be quite easy to bring Todibo in January. An interesting report that has come out that hasn't really been making much noise online is that Ten Hag has removed another Manchester United player from the dressing room, and it's been very quiet. Jadon Sancho is not the only player that's sort of been pushed out of Manchester United. And then we'll also get into 5 things we learned versus Luton. And I think my 5 things we learned, we look more at statistics, stats, and sort of deeper dive into the match from a deeper angle. What are the problems? What are the positives? What are the negatives? But let's dive straight into the news. I want to get through the news, or at least the transfer and takeover news, really quickly, because I did touch upon some of this in yesterday's video. But what's the latest on Andre? We spoke about Andre in yesterday's video. I did a very detailed video yesterday on Andre, would he add to United, why it'd be a brilliant signing. So I do recommend checking that out if you want to learn more about Andre. But it was said on Andre today that United, Fulham, Arsenal and Liverpool, and at least one other English side have made an approach for Fluminense midfielder Andre. I like Andre, big fan of him, but if there's a lot of competition, the chances of him ending up in Man United in January is probably slim, because we don't like to do January deals. Serious clubs do like to do January deals. It was also said that Manchester United have arrived strong to sign Fluminense midfielder Andre. United had representatives present to watch him at the Copa Libertadores final last week and have sought Fluminense. There's also reports that we're preparing an offer. However, so many times we're reported to be in for a player preparing an offer and we do nothing. This guy is most strongly linked to Liverpool. Liverpool are more likely to act in January than United. I think our priority for January could be centre-back and striker because of injuries. I think it would be a brilliant signing. I think it could be an absolute bargain signing. His ability in possession to progress the ball and having a volume passer that can make those passes would solve a lot of our issues and build up. But I will say with Andre, I'm not convinced that it's going to happen. If Romano starts saying we're in for him and there's a chance, then I'll be talking about him a lot more. But I did want to cover that news. Romano did say this though in regards to transfer news. He said it could be very easy for Man United to sign players from Nice when Ratcliffe takes charge due to the new loan rules. However, that club's vote on could change that, and he did say that United would like to sign 2 centre-backs in 2024. We know that we'll sign at least 1 centre-back in 2024, but it could be 2 if we do 1 in January, 1 in the summer. And Todibo is sort of seen as a deal that's likely. Romano said that Todibo would be really keen on United. United are interested in Todibo, £40 million. That could potentially be easy. Now, diving into the takeover news, because I want to get straight to the point, straight for the news here. It was said by Romano, and I said this yesterday, that Paul Mitchell was a big favourite to become the new sporting director of Man United. It's a serious probability. And he said Blanc is concrete and a concrete possibility for United. He said there's expected to be big changes at United in the coming weeks, and Blanc and Paul Mitchell are very likely. And the fact that Fabrizio Romano is saying that, for me, confirms that, yeah, there's going to be some major changes happening at United. And I've done videos speaking about it before, but Blanc and Paul Mitchell will be great additions to United. We just got to hope that they're allowed to make the changes that they'll want to make and they're granted some power. I think Sir Jim Ratcliffe wouldn't have brought a 25% stake in Man United if he didn't think he was going to get power to actually make and authorise those changes, and hopefully he does. Continuing on, what is going on with the dressing room? So we know that Sancho and Ten Hag are falling out. There's also been rumours suggesting that Varane and Casemiro have not been happy with Ten Hag, but we know that Varane and Casemiro are such professionals that maybe they're not happy about a few things, but they're not going to take it up and cause an issue. Like Ronaldo had a problem with Ten Hag, and he apologised the next day and was back in training, where Sancho won't apologise. Did you find it interesting that Pep Guardiola said he dropped Guardiola because he wasn't training well enough? Is Guardiola coming out with a statement? No. I think while Ten Hag got a lot of stick for saying that about Sancho, when Pep does it about Guardiola, fair play Pep, and Guardiola doesn't complain. I just have to say, managers do call out players. Managers are honest about players, but only Man United players have a big strop about it. But one that's gone under the radar is Donny Van De Beek. Donny Van De Beek actually got a few minutes earlier in the season. We saw Ten Hag subbing him on, but he's not even made the match day squad for the last few games, and he's not even injured. It said that basically Ten Hag just wants Donny gone in January. He said basically you're no longer part of the team because you are going in January. Donny's head is looking at a January move, and although he's not had a big fallout like Sancho, reports have come out basically saying that Donny's kind of been removed from United dressing room. Apparently, we've only got 23 or so slots in like the main changing room in like Carrington. And I know last year Brandon Williams and Tuanzebe and Phil Jones and Bailly got removed from that. And apparently Ten Hag's recently removed Donny Van De Beek. And I think he's put Kobbie Mainoo in there ahead of Van De Beek. But anyway, It was reported that Dutch midfielder Donny Van De Beek is reportedly not suffering from any injuries, but has found himself excluded from the Manchester United squad. It appears that the emerging talents of Gore and Hannibal have placed him down the pecking order, prompting him to explore a potential January move. Additionally, Van De Beek has lost his place in the club's primary changing room, designed to accommodate up to 23 players, highlighting his current marginalisation from the team. So Donny Van De Beek, who was a Ten Hag player at Ajax, a player that you'd assume had a good relationship with Ten Hag, essentially recently been axed from the Man United dressing room a couple of weeks ago, but it didn't actually do the media rounds. And I assume that's because Donny's quiet and gets on with it, and it's not like a public statement. But I did think that was interesting. Now, I want to get into 5 things we learned from the Fulham game, where I look more at the statistics, and I want to talk about the first thing we learned. And I thought Mount had a very good game. He came on, he brought some energy, had a good impact. But one thing I want to say is Man United are really bad at set pieces. Mason Mount was Chelsea's guy at set pieces. Mason Mount has one of the best set piece records in the Premier League, whether it be free kicks, whether it be corner kicks. I know Bruno is captain. I know Bruno likes to take set pieces, but can we put Mason Mount on set pieces, please? Because he's the best set piece taker in the United side, and we struggle at set pieces. I will tell you that for a fact. If you watch Mason Mount at Chelsea, you know he's good at set pieces. But he had a very good game, 100% dribbles completed, 81% pass accuracy, 33 touches, 17 out of 21 passes completed, 9 out of 10 passes into the final third, 6 out of 7 ground duels won, which is really important. He did put in a defensive shift, 6 ball recoveries, 4 out of 4 tackles and 1 key pass. I thought Mason Mount was really good. He had his involvement in the first goal, and he won the ball back really well and played it on to Anthony when Anthony almost got an assist on Rashford and Rashford missed. But I thought Mason Mount brought on this energy. It was quite exciting for him, and I really want to see him get more minutes, because although I was sceptical when we signed Mason Mount, I was like, I just don't think he fits into the team, and I don't think he's the right profile. I would rather see Mason Mount than Eriksen. I think Mason Mount got injured, but I actually think the little minutes we've seen of Mason Mount, I don't think he's been bad. I think he's been good, and I think today was an example of that. Now, the second thing we learned is I want to talk about a weakness, and that's ball progression, and I keep talking about it, but it is a problem. I think versus Copenhagen, we progressed the ball a lot better. We saw McTominay and Eriksen drop a little bit deeper in that game versus Copenhagen, and we were using the midfield more in build-up, but I think we kind of went back to the old stuff. And while Maguire and Lindelof were phenomenal today in progression, and our centre-backs did a really good job, it just feels like we evade the midfield, and the centre-backs are doing these diagonal balls that, you know, Maguire and Lindelof didn't really put a foot wrong today. But I think when you avoid the midfield and progression, it's harder to control, because when you go 1-0 up, all of a sudden you want to gain control of the game, and maybe we should just be keeping the ball a bit longer, doing those short passes rather than looking to go long, because I think that's why when we go 1-0 up, we're susceptible to conceding. And I know while Ten Hag's never been using the midfield massively in build-up at United, because we don't really have those profiles, because Shaw and Martinez were really important in build-up last season. I think their absence has made it worse, but it just feels like we just go long, we go long, we go long. And I think the fact that we go long, it's harder to create general chances, it's harder to break a low block, it's more predictable, and it's harder to get control, because wherever we're 1-0 up, even though we had about 4 big chances that we missed, even though we went 1-0 up, I still felt we could concede at any time. Even though Luton weren't great and they didn't really have a sniff, I still felt we could concede at any time, because we never had that control. It's like with 3-2 up versus Copenhagen, it's like, I know we're going to lose 4-3. It's just kind of one of those things at the moment. And I thought we progressed the ball well versus Copenhagen until we went down to 10 men. And I just felt like I'd like to see more midfield involved in build-up. It could be to do with the profiles in midfield. McTominay can't progress the ball. Ten Hag's spoken about the lack of balance, but it is a frustrating and consistent problem. Now, the third thing I want to talk about, and this is partly in defence of Erik ten Hag, is injuries costing United again. Eriksen and Højlund have come off injured. That seems to be more muscular training. More muscular injuries. There has been reports that the players are saying that training's too intense. They do too many matches in pre-season. They're doing too much in the week that's causing muscular injuries, and maybe Ten Hag needs to tone down and do tactical work. Pep Guardiola says in the week he doesn't really do intense training. He does more tactical work in the week because they've got so many games. It's not fair on the players, and potentially that could be why we look unfit or muscles strained. But 21 injuries, 16 games into the season isn't good. Hopefully Højlund and Eriksen's injuries are not serious though. But we sort of said that Man United have been hit the hardest by injuries this season, and they definitely have. Liverpool started last season really poor because they were hit badly by injuries, and Liverpool ended last season really well when they got a lot of their players back. Spurs and Newcastle, particularly Spurs, have started the season a lot better than United, look a lot more convincing, but Newcastle have been hit with a few injuries, Spurs have been hit with a few injuries, and now Spurs and Newcastle are dropping points and not looking convincing. Spurs' midfield versus Wolves earlier today was awful because they didn't have Maddison, and I think Bentancur has also been a big miss for Spurs all season. But I will say this, I don't think the football's been good enough under Erik ten Hag or convincing enough, and I will criticise ten Hag for that. But I have to say, I'm not saying injuries is a total excuse, because I think Eddie Howe's got a lot more out of Newcastle's B team when he came to Old Trafford and beat us 3-0. But you can see how Newcastle and Spurs have recently struggled now the injuries have hit them. Arsenal have had a few problems here and there with injuries, but Arsenal have done really well to get over it. But I think the fact that United have had injuries since the start of the season, ten Hag had more injuries than everyone else, I think you can see that the injuries have really cost United, and they're starting to cost other sides as well. And it is a big problem for ten Hag. He can't fully play the way he wants to play. And that brings me to a positive, as I generally believe when we get players back from injury, we will be playing a lot better, because believe it or not, we actually have the best Premier League form over the last 5 games, picking up 12 points more than any other team. Do I think we've been the best team? Absolutely not. Do I think we played good football? Absolutely not. Do I think any of those wins were particularly convincing? Absolutely not. But if we're getting the results with injuries and playing bad, when we get the players back, we're going to play a lot better. And if we're getting the results when we're playing bad, we've got chances of getting the results when we're playing better. So you've got to look at it from a positive outlook. The fourth thing we learned from the game is that I thought Maguire was quality again. I think he was really good in progression. I think him and Lindelof kind of bailed us out of the game and really helped us out here. But you can see Harry Maguire, 97 touches, really involved in the game. 78 out of 86 passes completed, 18 passes into the final third, 9 out of 13 long passes completed. Also created a chance, but if you look at his pass map there, pretty accurate, pretty good passes, and you can see a lot of switches of play, a lot of long balls, and his passing was really good today. And if you look at the ball progression stats here, Lindelof and Maguire were miles ahead of everyone else. They were progressing the ball really, really well. We've got obviously people like McTominay really near the bottom there, but I was really happy with the ball progression stats of the likes of Lindelof and Maguire. Big, massive in terms of progressing the ball, but we're too reliant on our defenders and invading the midfield and progression, as I've said. And then bringing into the fifth and final thing, the attackers do need to step up to start scoring. We missed 3 big chances today. There's been 1 goal between the attack in the Premier League all season. While Højlund's been great in the Champions League, he should have put one of his chances away. I have no concerns with Højlund, but what I do have concerns with, and I think Garnacho is a great player, and I think that Rashford's a good player when in form, is that Garnacho and Rashford had this good chance, and they just should have shot right away, and they were taking these touches and they were overthinking it. And there's definitely a little confidence block in those players. And Usman put a tweet earlier today that Maguire, Lindelof and Evans have more Premier League goals and assists combined than our entire attack. And that is the truth. Our defenders are stepping up and scoring, and the goals need to start coming from the attack. That is a big problem at United. Anyway, people, that is my 5 things we learned from Manchester United 1, Luton 0, as well as a quick news, transfer and takeover update. I hope you like these short style videos where I just deep dive into all the news. I should be live tomorrow night if I'm feeling better, or it'll be 6:30 after the Man City-Chelsea game tomorrow. I should be live, but big up everyone for watching. Do hit that like button. Do subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching, and bye.